Çağatay Ulusoy faced death. A confession no one saw coming, and the moment that nearly changed everything, at last, revealed. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Before we dive in, your support means the world, so make sure to subscribe and stay with me until the end. Friends, today I'm bringing you the most intense behind-the-scenes story from the set of Sandokan, a story that's been whispered about, hinted at, but never told with this level of detail. What happened to Çağatay Ulusoy wasn't just a dramatic mishap on a set. This project became the crucible of his life, a fire he stepped into voluntarily, one that forced him to rebuild his body, his discipline, and even the way he understands himself as an actor and as a man. With the highly anticipated premiere of Sandoken set for December 1st on Rai 1, the veil has finally lifted. In a candid interview with TV Sarisi Canzoni, Çağatay opened up about the tumultuous path that brought him to this moment, and the chilling incident that could have ended it all. It's the kind of confession that stops you in your tracks, because while viewers see a hero on screen, very few know how close that hero came to not returning from a certain scene. Let's go back to where it began. In 2021, Çağatay made a life-altering decision. He left Turkey for Italy to dedicate himself fully to Sandokan. He didn't treat it like another role, or a nostalgia-fueled remake. He treated it as a complete rebirth. For 8 to 9 months he buried himself in research, training, and language work, dissecting the world of Sandokan, a universe not widely known in his home country. He kept telling friends that the character wasn't just on his calendar, it had moved into his mind and refused to leave. Even when the project paused due to COVID-19, he never actually stepped away. The camera stopped, his preparation did not. In silence he kept rehearsing, imagining, pushing, his focus unbroken, even as the world around him stood still. Obsession might be a strong word. But when you listen to how he describes that period, you realize obsession is exactly what it was. He tore through 10 kilos in a single month for the role. Not only was he sculpting his body, he was reframing the soul of the character. He wanted a Sandokan who wasn't a caricature of a swashbuckler, but a man with an inner code, iron-willed, yet unwilling to take a life unless there was no other path left. Justice over vengeance. Control over chaos. Then came the set. The reality. The danger. The first real trial. Director Jan Michelini, who's known for precision and care on action-heavy shoots, warned him repeatedly, use the stunt double. Big action sequences require layers of safety. But Çağatay pushed back. He wanted to do every beat himself. Every fall, every leap, every breath. He believed the audience would feel the difference, and he was ready to pay for that authenticity with sweat and bruises. None of them imagined how high the price might become. In the first episode, there's a sequence that is beautiful on paper and brutal in practice. Following a blast, Sandokan's canoe is set to blow, hurling him into the water. Timed explosions. Fire crates. A dive under turning foam. On the day, everything was checked. Everyone was positioned. The instructions were clear. And then, in a blind second that no one can rewind, the canoe detonated at exactly the wrong angle for the suit he was wearing. He hit the water. The heavy fabric swallowed him whole. Imagine this, the costume you've trained in for weeks suddenly transforms into an anchor. Water muscles into every seam. The layers balloon. The weight multiplies, and the surface moves away like a ceiling you cannot touch. Your lungs burn, your vision blurs, and the more you fight, the more the suit binds you. He later said there was a heartbeat-long moment when he didn't know where up was. The fabric twisted around his legs and torso like ropes. His mind screamed for air, his body couldn't obey. A member of the crew watching monitors said it aloud later, there was a moment when they truly believed he was drowning. The underwater team snapped into motion with terrifying speed. They cut through the water, hands on him, knives at the ready for the cloth, peeling the weight off him as precious seconds evaporated. They brought him up. Air finally found him. And then came the silence. The kind that floods a set when everyone realizes the line they just approached. He caught his breath. He was pale but conscious. And this next part says everything about the kind of fire driving him. A second assistant director remembers the look he gave the water. A lesser actor, they said, would have called for time, and no one would have argued. But he chose to continue. No bravado, no show. Just a quiet nod, a refusal to step back from the edge he had committed to walk. It's easy to call that stubborn. Maybe it is. But on that production, it read as devotion. He wouldn't abandon the very promise that kept him away from home for years. To him, Sandokan wasn't a costume to zip up and down between takes, it was a vow. And he'd made it to himself. Now, there's another heart in this story. Hzal Kaya. If you followed this couple, you already know, Hazal isn't the partner who quietly waits in the background while the headlines fixate on the man. She's present, vocal, protective, and honest in a way that only real love can afford. While he was in Italy, she split her days between her own work and checking in on him. Voice notes at odd hours, late-night calls when rehearsals ran long, texts that alternated between teasing and worry. She knew the way he throws himself at a mountain when he decides to climb it. On the day of the incident, word reached her faster than anyone expected. She wasn't on set, but someone close to the production, aware of how close they are, let her know there had been a scare in the water. The call that followed was low and steady. No tears. Just that unmistakable Hazal warmth, wrapped around steel. She asked him to be smart. To respect the line between bravery and needless risk. To come home. The tone didn't accuse, it cared. After the day's work, they talked longer. He tried to downplay it, as actors so often do. She didn't let him. She reminded him that being heroic on screen doesn't mean you have to gamble your life off it. And yet, she also understood what this role meant to him. She has lived enough sets of her own to recognize the cost of turning back once you've decided to meet a character with your whole body. She knows the language of obsession, of art as a calling. Later, when she visited production in Italy, crew members noticed how her presence steadied him. Not to make him less brave, but to make that bravery smarter. She joked with him, she watched him, she pulled him aside when a sequence looked unnecessarily punishing. He listened more after that. He still refused to hand off the core stunts, but he approached them with an extra layer of caution. The kind that comes when someone you love asks you to live. He's spoken about this with humility, not flair. In the TV Sorrisi e Canzoni interview, his voice caught when he described the water cinching his clothes shut like fists. He admitted he felt trapped, that for a few eternal seconds he had no idea how to escape. He didn't posture. He didn't pretend it was fine. He told the truth. That the rescue team was the difference between a scare and a tragedy. Everyone on set knew it too. After they got him out, they stood still, the air vibrating with relief. What happened next surprised even the most seasoned among them. He stayed the course. He didn't ask to replace the shot with a double, he didn't cut the risk from the rest of the schedule. Instead, he studied the error with the specialists, adjusted, and went back in when it was safe to do so. That decision didn't happen in defiance of fear, it happened in conversation with it. It was courage that knows it can break, and chooses to hold anyway. And here's the part that broadens the picture: while Sandoken has dominated his life for years, Çağatay hasn't let it wall him off from the world. In between, he stepped into international terrain with an unshakable curiosity. He began shooting the Spanish drama Capote. The Butterfly Labyrinth, a project that threads together different languages, cultures, and storytelling rhythms. Some call it Calabac Maze. Different title, same challenge, stretching himself beyond the borders that once defined him. Just like Sandokan, the Spanish series demanded meticulous preparation and a willingness to be new again. Sandokan itself has been built for a global gaze. Filmed entirely in English, constructed with an eye toward myth and modernity, it's aimed at a wide audience without losing its grit. That's why the anticipation isn't just local. It's growing everywhere. Because people don't just want to watch an actor performing a legend, they want to feel that legend living under his skin. That's what he chased when he refused the double. That's what nearly cost him. And that's what might lift this series into something unforgettable. Ask anyone on the crew and they'll tell you the same thing. Those few seconds underwater changed the atmosphere of the production. Not into fear, into reverence. Every subsequent action beat came with heightened respect for the fine line they walked to bring us these moments. The image that will flicker on your TV for a handful of heartbeats took real blood, real breath, real risk. And through all of it, Hazal's fingerprints remain. Not as a shadow trailing him, but as a partner anchoring him. She was the voice that bridged his obsession with reality. The one who calmed storms without dimming the lightning. When you see him in the first episode, the power, the control, the contained fury, remember that some of that control is learned. Some of it is loved into existence. As we stand on the edge of the Rai 1 premiere, it's impossible not to see the bigger picture. He didn't just play Sandokan. He found a way to become the man the story needed, and he paid for it with discipline, weight lost, skin bruised, lungs burning, and a moment of terrifying silence under a sunlit surface. He returned, shook, grateful, and more determined. That is not vanity. That is vocation. So today, yes, we're talking about the exploding canoe, the suffocating suit, the underwater team that cut him free. We're talking about a director who urged caution, and an actor who insisted on truth. We're talking about a couple who held the line between art and life, between ambition and wisdom. We're talking about why, when the credits roll, some performances linger like a pulse beneath the skin. Because for Çağatay, Sandoken wasn't an assignment he clocked into. It was a door he stepped through and closed behind him. That's why he left Turkey for Italy in 2021. That's why he studied relentlessly for months. That's why, even when the pandemic halted the machinery, he refused to release the character from his grip. And it's why, when he almost lost more than a scene, he still chose to walk forward, eyes clear and heart steady. Now he moves between sets, languages, and genres with the measured confidence of a man who's tested himself for real. The Turkish star who became a fixture in Italy is now neither solely Turkish nor solely Italian in the public imagination. He is unmistakably international, threading his name through productions that speak in different tongues and beat to different drums. And standing beside him, an artist in her own right, is Hazal, proof that partnership can amplify bravery rather than soften it. When the first episode lands on December 1st, and viewers sit down to be swept into the world of Sandokan, remember the unseen price of the images you'll consume in seconds. Remember the split decision that forced a rescue team to move like lightning. Remember the choice not to hand over the hard parts to someone else after that day. And remember the promise whispered over a phone, and later, face to face, be bold, but be here. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. And tell me in the comments, do you think Sandokan will be a success?